Hi there, my name is Caitlin Bandy and this is my channel BandysBooks, and today we are here for a book review. And I am so excited about this book review. This is a book I was really looking forward to reading. And that is All the Sinners Bleed by SA Cosby. This book is releasing on the 6th of June, 2023 and is being published by Flatiron Books. This currently has a 4.42 and about 338 ratings on Goodreads so far. It is a procedural crime thriller combined with kind of Southern noir elements, and it creates a really interesting story. Before we get into the actual discussion of the book and the summary, I just want to let you know that there are a lot of trigger warnings for this book. I'm going to just go ahead and read off a list of them to make sure that we don't miss any. So, trigger warnings for school shootings, serial killers, murder, pedophilia, rape, assault, racism, torture, violence, post-traumatic stress, and internalized racism. While this book isn't what I would personally consider excessively violent or gratuitous, it definitely does discuss all of those topics at different points in the story. So if you are a sensitive reader, this might be one that you would skip. Titus Crown is the first Black sheriff ever in Sharon County. And he is a former FBI agent and security expert, and the reason that he returns to this small town is to be with his aging father. Titus ran for sheriff because he wanted to make a difference in the local Black community. But when a former Black student shoots a beloved white teacher, it puts pressure on Titus from all sides. The investigation into the shooting unburies both bodies and secrets. So first of all, we're going to talk about the things that I enjoyed with the story. Titus was a great main character. I really enjoyed getting into his story, learning about his background, and figuring out the case alongside with him. One of the things that I appreciated is that he's really good at his job, but not in like a superhuman way, like in a realistic, believable way. And he sometimes has moments where pressure gets to him, but overall he handles the pressures of his job really well. I thought that Cosby did a really good job of exploring the feelings and pressures that would have been on Titus during this case. This book is set in the South, and it does deal with racism, both historical and modern day racism. And so one of the things that I thought it captured really well is the tension between the Black community and the white supremacists. There are several different situations in which they come face to face, and Titus and the other police officers are trying to manage these situations and keep them from exploding. I thought that Cosby did a really good job of capturing that overall. One thing that really stood out to me in this book is the way that the author portrays post-traumatic stress disorder, both on an individual level and on a community-wide level. So first of all, Titus himself is dealing with some post-traumatic stress due to his experiences as an FBI agent and as a sheriff. And what I appreciated in this portrayal of Titus's post-traumatic stress is that this isn't the stereotype of a rage-filled veteran who's like flipping chairs and having flashbacks. This is a much more subtle and nuanced portrayal. And in some ways, I think it's a little bit more realistic to the average person. Titus is struggling to manage this post-traumatic stress and still show up for his family members, still show up for his coworkers, still show up to his job, still deal with all of these pressures that are heaped upon him. And he does so for the most part successfully, but you know, as we see these reflective quiet moments outside of work, we see where he's kind of struggling still. And I think that we see a good example of community-wide post-traumatic stress here as well. So as I mentioned in the summary, this book kind of starts off as a former Black student kills a beloved white teacher. Titus arrives on the scene and he tries to talk the student down, but when the student makes a really quick move, another police officer gets nervous and shoots him. There is a lot of question about whether it is a clean shoot or not. And regardless of that portion of the story, the Black community comes out and gets on Titus about investigating the shooting, about making sure that this person is not just another statistic, just another Black person that has been gunned down by the police. And Titus is frustrated. Like, he is like, hey, I am investigating this. I'm doing all the right things here, but the community lacks trust in him. And you see this from his perspective. He's frustrated because he's like, I'm Black and I'm, you know, here to clean things up. This is why I ran, was to clean things up, to help this community. But there's so much trauma around the police, especially the badly behaved police that have preceded Titus. We see all of this systemic racism that has happened historically in policing in Sharon County. So Titus is up against just, you know, years and years of trauma. And that communal trauma is explored in a very thorough and understandable way. I thought that that was probably the highlight of the book, is the way that Cosby explains how these systemic things can kind of continue to haunt a community for years after. Overall, this book is really fast-paced. There's a lot of action. It is very suspenseful, but I really appreciated that Cosby put in a few little breather points to kind of give you a moment to take a breath before you get hit by the next wave of action. I thought that the pacing overall was done really well. And while this is a thriller at its heart, and it is kind of just an engaging, like interesting mystery sort of a read, I really loved that this delved into a lot of deep topics. As I've already mentioned, this deals with race, this deals with like historical racism and current racism. It deals with the trust in police, it deals with school shootings, but it also talks about how Black children go missing and are completely overlooked by society. And it talks about how good old boys gain power and stay in power. This definitely isn't a superficial whodunit type of thriller. This has a lot of stuff that you can reflect on deeply as the story progresses. I could definitely see this particular book becoming a series of books or being adapted to a TV series. I feel like this whole concept would be great for TV or a movie. Netflix, if you're watching, hint, hint. My only real critique of this book would be that there are a handful of plot threads that don't get any kind of conclusion. And I don't mind like an open-ended ending, except there's one particular plot thread that I do really feel like needed a bit more information or a bit more resolution. It was pretty central to the story, and the fact that we never really get a concrete answer to why or how is a little bit frustrating. Some of this stuff that was left vague towards the end didn't bother me as much, but I guess overall I felt like this was a pretty concrete narrative, so I felt like it needed a little bit more of a concrete ending, and so some of the vagueness of it was a little disconcerting for me, but it was a pretty minor critique overall. All in all, if you want a thriller that's gonna both keep you on your edge of your seat and make you think about current events, then this might be for you. I will say that having read Razorblade Tears, I do prefer Razorblade Tears, but this was still really good, and I would say it would probably be a good starting point to reading SA Cosby if you've never read him before. So if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, comment down below, and let me know, have you ever read SA Cosby before? If so, which of his books have you read? Which one was your favorite? And if not, would you consider reading All the Sinners Bleed? And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button down below, as well as the notification bell, so that you never miss a video, and that way we can see each other again soon. Thanks so much for joining. Bye.